Hey, what is up everybody? It's Animac here for AnimeUproar, and in this video, I will be breaking down the evolution of Izuku Midoriya from an idealistic hero fanboy to a much darker character. A new and more mature Deku is about to emerge from the current world-changing war arc in the Boku no Hero manga. I've said this many times, but the world of Boku no Hero will never be the same after the events of this arc. And the character of Deku will never be the same either. We are currently at a critical crossroads in the story. Everything is at stake, so let's get into it. If you enjoy our Boku no Hero videos and you want us to keep it going, leave a like and comment, it really does help. You might think it doesn't matter, but leaving a like and commenting tells YouTube to suggest this video to more people. So if you could do that, it would be amazing. And of course, if you're new to the channel or you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. Finally, this video is dealing with the evolution of Deku from the very beginning of the story to the most recent arc in the manga. That means that this video will contain Boku no Hero manga spoilers, so please proceed with caution, you have been warned. The Meta Liberation Army arc, also known as the My Villain Academia arc, really changed the villains in this story and what they were capable of. The League of Villains went from a small band of villains who were on the run from the law to a full-fledged army that poses a massive threat to the entire hero society. The current war arc, known as the Paranormal Liberation War arc, quickly demonstrated just how dangerous the villains have become. The action in this arc has mostly focused on two central locations: the Villain Mansion and Jakku Hospital, which later turned into the ruins of roughly 1/3 of Jakku City thanks to Shigaraki's awakened decay. These two battles had been taking place simultaneously for much of the arc, as the heroes attempted to raid both locations at the same time and stop the villains in their tracks. However, the heroes failed to stop Gigantomachia from leaving the mansion and heading towards Shigaraki and Jakku. And as a result, Machia has been destroying everything in his tracks and tearing through entire cities, leaving nothing but death and destruction in his path. As Machia has been making his way towards Jakku and carrying Dabi, Toga, and other villains on his back, the heroes, including Endeavor, Aizawa, Deku, Bakugo, and others, have been busy fighting Shigaraki, who now possesses All for One and its many quirks. We have seen a bunch of incredible twists and turns during this battle, and the last thing that we saw was Deku and the former One for All users repelling Shigaraki and All for One's attempt to steal One for All. It was heavily implied that Shigaraki was in bad shape and that he must take a break and recuperate before continuing the fight against Deku and the other heroes. Luckily for Shigaraki, Machia has arrived in Jakku, and so the heroes now have more than just Shigaraki to worry about. But also luckily for Shigaraki, Deku hesitated to finish him off. Deku knows what Shigaraki has done and what he is capable of doing in the future, and even though Deku has seen Shigaraki kill or severely injure pro heroes and even some of his close friends like Bakugo, Deku still expresses the hope that Shigaraki will stop moving and stop fighting so that Deku doesn't have to finish him off. So in essence, Deku hesitates to kill Shigaraki, even though he arguably had the opportunity to do so after Shigaraki was repelled from the Vestige world. The latest installment of the story takes us away from the main battle against Shigaraki, and this really showcases the sheer extent of destruction that this arc has wrought on Japan's hero society. We can see that dozens of heroes are now rushing to take on Gigantomachia, even though the odds of the hero succeeding in stopping him appear to be quite slim, especially after what we saw back at the mansion, where nearly an entire army of heroes and hero students failed to stop him. Machia is a giant moving at 100 kilometers an hour and tearing through entire buildings with his massive claws. He has been destroying his way through city after city, causing widespread damage and who knows how many civilian casualties. Many of the heroes blame themselves for this. They failed to stop Machia back at the mansion, their big plan to neutralize the villains has clearly failed, and now they must do everything in their power to save as many innocent lives as possible, even at the cost of their own lives. And beyond the pro heroes, who are at least licensed and experienced crime fighters, This latest war arc has also put the inexperienced hero students in the line of fire. Hero students are now regularly finding themselves on the front lines, and this further demonstrates just how severe this situation is. The pro-hero system is crumbling in the face of this unprecedented villain threat. Inexperienced 16-year-olds are putting their lives in danger right alongside some of the toughest pro-heroes, something that would have been virtually unthinkable under different circumstances. Once Makia and the villains on his back finally make it to Jakku after leveling entire sections of multiple cities along the way, Toga uses this opportunity to disguise herself as a civilian, and she then lures Ochako into a trap. As Ochako's life now hangs in the balance because she was taking such a risk to help evacuate innocent civilians, I couldn't help but think that this is yet another reminder about how much the Hero Society has changed during this one single arc. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that Ochako, Bakugo, and other important characters are going to die, although they may be seriously injured, as was the case with Bakugo. But what is happening to Bakugo, Ochako, and many other hero students on the front lines is indicative of how game-changing this arc really is. Under the established rules and regulations of the Hero Society, 16-year-old students with little experience would never be allowed to risk their lives fighting overpowered villains like Makia and Shigaraki. This is a job for fully licensed and experienced pro heroes, and under normal circumstances, they would be the ones handling such massive villain threats. But these are not ordinary circumstances. The Hero Society as we knew it is gone. The villain threat is just too great, and the old rules and regulations have gone out the window. And as the Hero Society itself is changing as a result of this arc, so are the people who live in this society, including Deku. We can't forget how Deku started out. He was an idealistic kid who idolized pro heroes, and especially All Might. He believed in the Hero Society and its ideals, and the concept that he had of what a pro hero was supposed to be was the wholesome Saturday morning cartoon type of hero. Just like All Might, this hero is good and pure, he always puts others before himself, and while he brings villains to justice, he would never do something as vile as actually killing them. And to be fair, in the world of Saturday morning cartoons, the villains themselves are usually much less dark. The villains are not going around killing people, they're usually just causing havoc or hatching some crazy plot, which is always foiled by the heroes. But Boku no Hero is not a Saturday morning cartoon. There are a lot of wholesome elements in MHA, but there are also many serious elements. People really die in this series, and this includes villains like Twice and heroes like Sir Night-Eye. The villains of Boku no Hero are not the villains of Saturday morning cartoons. They are far more dangerous and deadly, and this current war arc is a perfect example of that. Remember how Deku reacted to the death of Sir Night-Eye? The death of Sir and the fact that Mirio lost his quirk affected Deku so much that he seriously considered giving One for All to Mirio. Since he was unable to save Sir, Deku immediately started thinking that he wasn't worthy of having One for All after all. And these types of insecurities continue to haunt Deku every time something tragic happens because he genuinely wants to save everyone. And so when anything bad does happen, Deku feels guilty for not being able to prevent it. This current arc has gone out of its way to remind us that Deku always puts others before himself and that he is willing to go to impossible lengths to save others. He is even prepared to go against common sense and put his life in imminent danger if it means living up to his own ideal of what it means to be a hero. And now let's think about what has happened so far during this current arc. We know how Deku reacted to the death of one pro hero, Sir Night-Eye, so how is he going to react now that dozens of heroes and who knows how many civilians are dead? We know that the number 6 pro hero Crust is dead, we saw him die, but there are many other heroes who certainly died in the aftermath of Shigaraki's destruction. They just died off screen. I think Washu might have been one of them, but we're not sure as of right now. On top of that, it's pretty clear that countless civilians were likely killed and injured during Makia's rampage through multiple cities. And there were definitely some serious hero casualties back at the villain mansion as well. Finally, multiple people who are close to Deku have already been seriously injured during this arc, including Bakugo, Aizawa, and Gran Torino. Even if the heroes win the Battle of Jakku in the end, How do you think Deku will react to all this death and all this suffering? Right now he is focused on the battle at hand, but once he has time to actually take in what happened, how do you think he will cope with the fact that he simply couldn't save everyone? Deku's character is going to change after this arc, and he will never be the same innocent and idealistic boy again. Earlier in the arc, we saw that Hoox was willing to go all the way, and he was willing to kill Twice in order to prevent him from using Sadman's parade to potentially kill many others. Hoox didn't want to do it, and he tried giving Twice a way out, but when Twice refused to listen, Hoox did what he had to do, and he finished the job. He killed a villain to prevent that villain from hurting others in the future. But unlike Hoox, Deku still isn't the type of person who is prepared to go all the way. He is not the type of person who is prepared to kill. Even if the target in question is Shigaraki, an incredibly overpowered villain who has already killed dozens of people, Deku just can't bring himself to end Shigaraki's life. Deku hesitates, hoping that Shigaraki will just give up and stop fighting. Deku still wants to be the kind of hero that you see in Saturday morning cartoons. The hero who brings villains to justice and sends them to jail, but not the hero who gets his hands dirty by acting as judge, jury, and executioner. But imagine what will happen if, after Deku spares Shigaraki's life, Shigaraki then goes on to kill more people, maybe even someone close to Deku. How will Deku cope with the knowledge that someone died because he failed to act? Someone died because Deku refused to end the threat posed by Shigaraki once and for all. This would absolutely break Deku, and it would change him completely. After this arc, whether the heroes win or lose, Deku will have to come face to face with the tragic truth. You cannot be a Saturday morning cartoon hero in a world that is much darker and much more cruel than the world of your average Saturday morning cartoon. Deku will have to face the fact that sometimes you cannot save everyone, and sometimes you might even have to kill a villain in order to protect the safety of others. In many ways, this arc was specifically designed to shatter Deku's idealism and to force him to become a much more mature character. He will become a much darker character in the aftermath of this arc as he comes to terms with everything that has happened. And as he begins to understand that the hero society that he once knew, the hero society that he believed in as a child, is now gone. Do you remember how the general population reacted to the Kamino incident and the other relatively minor villain attacks in the earlier arcs of the story? Many people began to lose faith in pro-heroes, they criticized the hero society harshly, and the heroes and politicians had to work hard to keep the people from panicking and destabilizing the already fragile society. Now, imagine how the people of Japan will react to the events of this arc. Multiple cities ravaged. Hundreds, if not thousands of casualties, top-ranked pro-heroes dead, and villains who are stronger than ever before. This is what I mean when I say that the hero society will never be the same again. The events of this arc are very likely going to lead to mass panic and civil unrest. The people will realize that the pro-heroes cannot effectively protect them any longer, and this will cause chaos all over Japan. No matter who wins the fight for Jakku, I think that riots, protests, looting, and a drastic increase in crime are all going to be the inevitable after effects of this arc. All criminals and villains will be emboldened by what the Paranormal Liberation Army has been able to achieve. And all the regular people will be panicked and terrified as the society they grew up in crumbles all around them. And this is the dark and chaotic setting that Deku will find himself in once this arc finally comes to an end. This is the world that the new Deku will have to make sense of in the coming months and years. Deku has received a lot of criticism as a protagonist, specifically because he is such a nice, idealistic, and wholesome guy. People tend to like flawed characters, characters who are nuanced and complex and sometimes even contradictory. And I've heard many people say that Deku's wholesomeness is kind of boring. It makes him potentially less interesting than other characters like Bakugo or Endeavor or even Stain. But I think that Deku is about to get a lot more complex after this arc. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that Deku will ever become a villain like an Anakin Darth Vader type deal, but I do think that Deku is about to go from 1960s Batman to the Dark Knight Batman, if you know what I mean. Deku's idealism will be shattered after this arc, and while this will be difficult for him to deal with at first, in the end, this will make him a darker and more interesting character. And since the tone of Boku no Hero as a whole has been getting darker for some time, I'm really looking forward to seeing how all of this will affect Deku as the main protagonist of the series. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me that Deku is about to become a much darker character? And do you agree that the Hero Society as we know it will never be the same again? Also, is someone close to Deku going to die during this arc in order to further push him to change? Maybe a mentor figure like All Might, Gran Torino, or Aizawa? Or perhaps even a fellow student? Let me know down below. If you enjoy our Boku no Hero content and you want to see more, please leave a like and comment, it really helps a lot. And if you're new to AnimeUproar or you just haven't subscribed yet, make this the video that you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications. You really have to go through the trouble of clicking that bell and then selecting the option that says all. If you don't do that, you're still gonna miss a lot of our videos, even if you are subscribed. It's just how YouTube works. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. A big thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons who make videos like this one possible. Special thank you to Alpha Sigma and Liam Thompson, disciples of Lord Twigo himself. And I can't forget our The One tier patrons, the ones who stand above all other clans, including Ingrata, The World, A Quiet Respect, Pate Heffa, Jonathan King, Rathuin Deora, Red Haired Raven, Emperor Otaku, Thomas Jones, Kinmano, Admirath, and Chris Torley. Finally, thank you to all of our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Nothing But a Fan, Steelers, Anatoly Kazatsky, Cricket XP, Joe Stanton, Very Gucci, Jessica Calafond, Alicia Octor, Hinokami and Water, Bonnie Parks, Florian, Joanne Garcia, McShamus, Deadly Saint, and High School DXD 73. If you enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value for you, consider supporting us on Patreon. Even a single dollar will give you access to our patron exclusive Discord, and your name will appear in our videos along with these amazing people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys!